Hello and welcome back to the Nostalgic Summer Memories video number 2. And today we're talking about sight. So the photos I selected for this particular sense was let's see if I can get this adjusted. One of my light bulbs went out, so I'm gonna have to like work on that because I don't want to have a shadow. So I'm just gonna kind of tweak this as I'm standing here, and hopefully we can get a pretty good clear vision. How does that look? Okay, so one of the photos that I selected for the site was actually photos that when we went to, we had a deer lease, and so my dad and my uncle and my grandfather and my brother would go and you know, dove season and deer season and things like that. So during the summer times we would spend our summers there, and actually we kind of did it year round, except of course when it was really cold outside. But you know, it was just a time that we would, on Sundays, you know, my parents and I even have this tradition that I like to just go riding around and looking. It's just kind of soothing and nice to see the countryside, and haven't been in quite a while, but I do enjoy doing that, and I know my parents still do. So but we would go on Sundays and we would take a picnic lunch and we would just go. And so this was a place that we could go, and we camped out and we did all the things. And so I wanted to kind of show you what I meant by sight. So basically what I did was I took, this is actually mixed media paper. I know I had that on my supply list, but you can use cardstock. That will be fine. The only reason I did mixed media is because I knew I was going to be watercoloring. Now, you guys, I'm not a watercolor expert. I'm still learning on how to do things. So it's a little, but this is your album. You can make it however you want. It does not have to be perfect. It's putting your memories down on a page. So I made a little fold out map that goes inside that I just basically glued to the inside of this cardstock. And I may come in here and add some like some pom-poms or some lace or something like that, but for now I just put a really fun, colorful, so it is kind of still going with my fun circus theme. I put some colorful washi along the strip here. I also just added, I love these, by the way. I had picked these up. I think I got these at one of those D-Stash tables, but it's Simple Stories. It's probably an older series, but it's called Summer Vibes. Anyway, it's got a lot of cute little die cuts in there, and they're kind of a muted color, so it really works well. But I just kind of used some of the die cuts on here, and I love this little top part. But basically I opened it up and I drew a map of where our picnic area used to be. So this is something you could do even if you, I don't know, like visited your grandmother. You could do an outline of her house, or you could do like your favorite beach or your favorite city or a memory, or maybe your current house now. It's really, so I love doing this project, this type of fold out of because it is fun to look back on, and it's fun to do because it brings back a lot of fun memories. And so so basically I just kind of wanted to do a map of our little picnic area that we would go and spend a lot of time at when we went to my dad's the deer lease. So I texted my dad last night and I was like, oh, do you see the mosquito? We have mosquitoes so bad, you guys, and they, you know, the dog goes in and out, the cats go in and out, and the mosquitoes come in. But and they're really annoying. So the deer lease, so I texted my dad last night and I said, when did we have that? Because this is, and I'll touch base on this as well, but so he gave me the dates, you know, and this could be, so I started technically, I think I wrote it down on here. So from 4 years to 14 years old, I was, we would go and to the deer lease. So basically I just kind of sketched out. It looked huge to me, but I bet now if I went back it wouldn't be as big, but maybe so. I don't know. I noticed that a lot when you look back from being a kid. You're like, oh wow, I really thought this was like this huge area. But But just to kind of give you an idea of what I documented, there was like, I don't know whether I should call it a creek. I think it was just like a creek, but it was pretty wide. It was deep. I remember my mom always worrying about the water, which, anybody being around kids with water, I completely understand. But, so there was lots of fishing along here. We had a large picnic table. I'm assuming that my dad, I should have asked my dad that, but it was huge. I mean, it was very long, so it would space for all the families to be able to come and sit and eat. There was a cement slab that was where a house used to be, and so this is where me and my sister are standing on right there, is that cement slab. And then there was like this long table. Like I said, I'm still working. My table looks a little wonky, but that's okay. There was a long table that would hold like the food and the cooler and the water, and I remember my dad kind of cooking on the end here. You would smell breakfast in the morning cooking when we went camping, and so that was always fun. And then I remember this kind of being like a really tall grassy area, but there's like a little trail that went back here to a swimming hole that had a rope swing on it. Of course, I was young. I never did the rope swing because probably I was terrified, but I can still, there's a picture somewhere of my sister wearing her little swim cap. She always had a horrible ear infection, so she had her swim cap on, but we got to do the swim hole. And I just remember every time we went in the summer, we would like, oh, can we go swimming? Can we go swimming? And, not always, but several times I remember we did end up going. But if you go down to the other side, there was a flowing creek, and so I just kind of put flowing creek in here, and we got to play in the creek right along here. It would come down to like a rocky area. This is kind of where it would just trickle down, and then when we came in, I remember this was not paved or anything. I just kind of did like a little grade just to kind of show the drive in, because I remember we used to have to mow and everything every year to get settled and everything, but there was this like pond of stagnant water, and we were always like, "Ew, that's so gross in there." And then I remember we did at one point set up our tent over here, behind the cement slab area. And then yes, over here we had the outhouse. Yes, we used the outhouse because of course there's not any running water. But one of the things that I vividly remember, and I was always scared, was there's always lots of daddy long legs in the corner. You know how they like pulsate. It's just so, that was something that I definitely remember. But and then I just kind of did a little overview of this map and explaining, what we did and my favorite thing, and which I just kind of went over everything. But so yeah, so that's a visual, that's a sight, being able to like sketch out something that you see. This doesn't require photos, and so that's always fun. And reach out to family members or friends and get their visual, because I know that a lot of times there's a lot of stories that I have that I don't know if they, nobody else remembers, or they might not be exactly the same. So that's always fun to kind of reminisce on there. But the two photos I selected were of this particular picnic area. And this is me and my little sister. And I have no idea what dog that was. But one of my very first memories of coming here is I remember my parents had a big gray Suburban, and we sat in the back seat, and I remember we got out, and I believe we never did really get to drink sodas, so that was like a treat, but we would have to share it, me and my sister. Of course we were little, but these are just the cans, now we're like drinking the bottles and whatnot. But I remember we had to always share a can of soda, so that was something that I put in here. That is one of my earliest summer memories of coming to the we called it the Deerlies, because that's exactly what it was. And that was another thing that I put in here. I put where it was at, so that kind of gives an idea. And then the next photo I have is actually the same thing. Here's that long picnic table, and there's my dad taking a photo of my older sister and my uncle sitting in the background. Now, I actually got a magnifying glass out to see what was on the table, because I was very curious. I wanted to see what did we have on our picnic table. And I do think that there's a lot of cups. There's a lot of Tupperware dishes. My dad has his coffee mugs. I love that. I love that he's barefoot, and there's his shoes. So I love that. I love seeing that in this photo. And back behind here, I believe that was the creek back here. So, anyway, so that's just kind of one of the things you could look in the photo. I never could tell. I think that might have been creamer or coffee, but lots of Tupperware dishes. So definitely look into your pictures and see, and describe what you see. That's always fun to do that. Now, so that's kind of, that's an overview. Now, when I did my pages, I literally just drew lines in a thicker, I used my pen, the Micron 08. It's just a thicker, you could use any kind of thick pen, and then I came through and used a thinner, my favorite pens, the Real .5, to write in the story. On this particular page, I mentioned before that you can, you don't have to have pictures. It's memories that you have. And so this is the summer of 1987. I'm assuming it's 87 or 88 because I think I only really babysat for like 2 years. Maybe, I really don't think it was for very long. Maybe 2 years, maybe a year and a half, because the lady that I used to babysit for, they ended up moving. But I talk about how I was introduced to Anna Green Gables, and I kind of mentioned that in the story earlier, but I just talked about how I babysat and who I babysat for and what she introduced me to, just like I had mentioned earlier about the Victoria Magazine and Country Living. And then I just talked about Anna Green Gables, and actually I fell in love with the word in the world of kindred spirits, and tea and straw hats and all the things. And so anyway, I just kind of wrote a little story about that. And of course, I'm sure Anne would love that I have a big carrot up there for her. Carrots, But anyway, so that kind of is another story that I used to talk about without actually having photos. Now, I know in this video I kind of just went ahead and I'm just doing a flip through. I will do some more I have plans to kind of do a demonstration, but for this particular video, it's just talking about sight, and I'm talking about how go make a map, even if it's a map of your house now, or a room, or how you like to spend your summers right now. It's just really fun to put that on paper and to have that as a memory. Now, keep in mind that you don't have to, be perfect. You could use stickers, you could use die cuts, you could look at the paint I did. I just, it's just fun. It's for you. It's a memory for you, and don't hesitate if you're. You could use. I thought about actually using like a paper, like a coarse paper for the outhouse, but I thought, well, no, I'm just going to paint it and with watercolor and be happy with that. So anyway, all right, you guys, well, please share, post me in any of your projects that you do. I would love to see what you're doing. And again, feel free to leave a comment and I will get back with you. See you tomorrow.